Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and we were the scouting staff for this past Hula Bowl. Today I have with me a guy who actually participated in that event at the Hula Bowl. His name is Vince Stille. He's a defensive lineman out of Nebraska. How's your day going, sir?
Pretty good. How about you?
Doing well. Why don't you kind of catch us up to speed a little bit? Tell me about maybe where you're from and how you got there to Nebraska.
Yeah, so I'm from a small town in Nebraska, about 30 minutes away from the university. It's called Ashland. Um, I played every sport you can imagine growing up, and then in high school, stuck with wrestling and football for the most part. After my freshman sophomore year, I was playing cornerback and safety on defense, and then my junior year transitioned to D end, put some weight on, and as well as playing wide receiver and tight end on offense, playing both ways at a small school, and from there after my junior year, kind of started to get some interest from schools. I got my first offers from Wyoming, and then they kind of waterfalled after that after my junior year of football. And then once Iowa offered, then I got a Nebraska offer. So, and that was obviously my being from the state and a local kid. That was obviously my dream school, and I was super excited to get that opportunity, and that's how I ended up there.
Yeah, so I mean, Nebraska, born and raised, Cornhusker. So you're gonna be there regardless. That's just kind of like in the back of your mind. You're gonna end up there for sure. So, played almost everything in high school, every single position known to man, including maybe I want to say you kicked the ball maybe once or
Yeah,
twice. So,
kicker as well.
kind of crazy. You chatted for a little bit there about a wrestling background. So, walk me through that if you don't mind. I mean, how do you feel like that helped you as a football player?
Yeah, I kind of got the advantage just from a athleticism standpoint. With my siblings and whatnot, they started wrestling. I think my oldest brother was in sixth grade. My middle brother was in fourth grade, and I happened to be in preschool at the time, and that was the youngest grade you could start. So that kind of helped me get a head start with wrestling and just kind of growing up with it, and getting an advantage that way in the sport. But obviously, there's a lot of ties with it to the eventual position I moved to in football and D line. Just as far as leverage and understanding body positioning and a lot of that. As far as hand-to-hand combat, it's really what your job is on every play in football. So I think there's a lot of carryover and just stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to be aggressive, learn that hand fighting, learn that, type of balance and coordination. So it is certainly translatable for sure. So let's talk about you as a football player, as an NFL prospect. I mean, obviously, we brought you down to Orlando. We thought very highly of you. So let's chat about that for just a little bit. So, as we were evaluating guys, this is what our evaluators came up for you. So bear with me for just a second. So obviously a guy, this is what they wrote up. So obviously a guy with good weight, big frame, big chest, strong upper body, lower body. In the run game demonstrates good arm extension, vision, shedding ability to tackle the ball carrier at or behind the line of scrimmage. Quality tackler when in between the tackles. Has a good motor and doesn't give up on plays. And then also, where is the other thing down here? Has good vision and IQ to affect passing lanes. So obviously a guy who can, just kind of affect really all facets of the offense. So I remember just kind of watching you myself. I mean, and seeing, hey, this guy's putting forth a lot of effort, even as a pass rusher. But also a guy who really lines up in a lot of different spots there on the D line. So talk to me about your experience level across that defensive front.
Yeah, played for a lot of different coaches, a lot of different coordinators. Gotten a lot of experience in different schemes and whatnot, which is honestly, I think, been in the end a benefit for me. My last, let's see, my last 3 years, 3 or 4 years, I was all in the same scheme, so that was a big advantage. But when I was a young player, I had three different coordinators in 3 years, so that was a lot for me to process just as a young player, and tough for me to develop in any certain scheme. But in the end, just like any adversity, you grow from it, and become a better player for it. So we ended up playing a lot of nickel defense this last couple of years at Nebraska. That just puts two D linemen in the game for us, two interior D linemen, which, I'd play a three tech, I'd play a shade as long as we were in nickel. A little bit of the time we'd be in base, and I'd be playing a 4-eye in more of a 3-down, 3-4 scheme. So a little bit of two gap in, a little bit of one gap in, just kind of getting the whole experience there.
Yeah, and just to kind of reiterate, I mean, the size that we're looking at is a guy who's about 6'4", 295 pounds. Certainly a guy you can use in a whole lot of different fronts, different schemes, which we had chatted about. So I want to say you had the option of actually coming out last year. So we were looking at. I want to say we were looking at you last year as well. So were you one of these guys who just kind of made the decision to come back for an additional year?
Yeah, I ended up needing shoulder surgery after last season, so there wasn't really an option for me to come out as long as I was getting that repair. Just at least a 6-month recovery, and to give myself the best opportunity at the next level. That was the decision I made, was to come back, help my team improve on the year before season.
Yeah, and I mean, again, just like you had mentioned, I mean, having that surgery, coming back from that, actually having probably the best season you've had so far, statistically, as an individual. So, 42 total tackles, a couple sacks, also able to get into the backfield as well. So, again, as we were watching tape on you, we really liked you. We wanted you to come down to the Hula Bowl. So let's chat about that experience, if you don't mind. I mean, how did it feel to first get that one call saying, hey, we want you down here in Orlando? How'd that feel?
Yeah, it was obviously a good opportunity for me. The main thing is, after you're done playing your last game as a collegiate player, is to go to an all-star game to showcase your talent against other guys that are obviously trying to do the same thing, and hopefully be able to show your ability against them. And it's just kind of the next step in the process. So obviously my eventual goal is to play in the NFL, and was super excited just to get that process going, and get along the path there.
Yeah, so I mean, you come down to Orlando, meet a whole lot of players and coaches. I think a lot of really one of the big things about coming to an event such as the Hula Bowl is really just building relationships. So, were there any players or coaches that you were able to meet or play against that maybe perhaps like you hadn't known before or knew already, or anything of that sort that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say for the most part, all coaches and players there, I really didn't have any former ties to, so it was just a good experience. Some of them guys that were training at same combine facility that I'm at. I was at X3 the week before the Hula Bowl, doing some D line work there, so got to hang out with those guys an extra week before I headed down to XPE in Fort Lauderdale, where I'm doing my combine prep at. So, kind of got the best of both worlds. Got to meet those guys and build relationships with a lot of those guys and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, and another aspect about that is, you get to actually get a chance to meet some NFL scouts. We had a crap load of scouts there from all across the gambit of professional sports. So, just kind of wanted to get your take on your interviews and some of those things that you were able to do, like any sort of experience in that regard. Maybe a weird question, or just being able to maybe talk to one of those teams that you've wanted to talk to forever.
Yeah, obviously there was a ton of scouts there. It was an awesome experience. Just being able to interact with them, and there was obviously a little bit stressful the first couple days there. Just it's constant meetings, constant tests, that type of thing, and then you're also trying to get recovered and play well at practice and in the game. So it's a bit of a, I don't know, an overwhelming experience for sure, but a necessary one and a good one for sure. I didn't get any too crazy questions. Met with probably, I don't know, probably 15 teams while I was down there in Orlando, and just a lot of background information, that type of thing. Some scheme questions and that type of thing.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that you also were invited to another All Star game. So I don't know when you actually got that invite to the Shrine. Was that like during the week, or when did that happen?
Yeah, it was let's see, the game was on a Saturday, correct? So I think I got the offer on either Thursday or Friday. Can't remember which one. But yeah, just a day or two before the game was at. So after been through all the practices and everything.
So, anything about your Shrine Bowl experience that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously very, very similar, just obviously different guys. So obviously some good talent there. It was another really good experience, though. Got to meet with a bunch of scouts. A lot of the ones I didn't meet with while I was down in Orlando just because of time. And so that was good to be able to meet with the majority of the rest of the teams, and to be able to showcase my abilities and my talents again against different guys.
Cool. And obviously, you meet probably half of the NFL like there in Orlando. You end up going out to the Shrine, probably ended up meeting with like the other half. I mean, you met with a ton of people for sure. So great experience, really. Having you down there. And you being able to participate in two All-Star events. What do you feel is really like? I don't know, your most memorable collegiate moment? Or is it those two All Star events, or is there any other game or highlight of your career that will stick out to you?
Yeah, probably my biggest moment was COVID COVID year. So 2020, what was that 2020 season. Um, Against Penn State at home. We were up by, I think we were up by 4, and they were in our red zone. They were in our red zone, about to score at the very end of the game, and it was 4th down, and just sealing the game there with a sack was probably my biggest moment.
Awesome. I mean, again, like we had mentioned, I mean, a guy who can affect the run game and be a quality pass rusher. So being able to get that sack against Penn State had to have been awesome for sure. Definitely to seal a game. So I do want to get a chance to meet Ben Stille outside of football a little bit. So tell me a little something about yourself, if you don't mind. Something interesting, fun, hobbies, interests, or what have you. So give me a little something about yourself.
Yeah, I'd say my two biggest interests or hobbies, I guess, kind of outside a ball are traveling, which I haven't had a ton of time to do since being in college and whatnot for football. But then also I'm a big documentary fan.
Okay, so elaborate on that a little bit. I mean, when you say documentaries, what are you watching documentary wise?
It really depends. Obviously, sports documentaries I like a lot.
Sure.
Technology stuff, financial stuff. It can really be anything. Um, it just kind of depends. Wide variety.
Gotcha. And what did you get your degree in there at Nebraska?
Nutrition, exercise, and health science.
Interesting. So I mean, obviously you can carry that with you as you progress in the pros. Um, I was trying to think of maybe perhaps something else to ask you. I mean, obviously a guy from you said Ashland, Nebraska, right? So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit of something about your hometown. Like if I were to come visit you there in Nebraska, where would we have to go? What would we have to do?
I mean, there's about 3,000 people there, so it's not the biggest place, not the most amount of things to do.
I mean, are we just going to go out in the cornfields, or what are we doing?
I mean, the downtown area is kind of has a historic little downtown area that's pretty neat. Got a couple wineries around, and then there's a state park that's probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles outside of the town. That's a pretty big attraction. Probably one of the bigger state parks in Nebraska.
Cool. So definitely a guy who's from a small town. Obviously, want to make sure to, I guess, put that town on the map. I feel like you do have that, uh, potentially happening for you. I remember, I guess earlier today, I was trying my best to do a mock draft, and for whatever reason, like your name just kept on falling to the Packers. So like, I don't know if that, is going to happen or what, but I mean, it's just when I kept doing my mock draft, that does that sound fair to you? Would you take that, or would you take, obviously anything?
Yeah, for sure. That's my favorite team growing up. So definitely.
Awesome. That would be fantastic if that were to happen. So, um, uh, as we're transitioning now towards the draft, pro days and what have you. When is your pro day, by the way?
March 22nd.
March 22nd. So, how is that looking for you? I mean, again, like you had mentioned, I mean, you're training down there in Florida. What are your expectations or goals for that pro day?
Yeah, obviously playing in two All-Star games kind of put me behind just in the training aspect of things. So it's kind of good that I have a later pro day, just to be able to get prepared for that. Really just trying to just show my athletic abilities there. Show my ability to obviously be strong, but obviously my ability to move and bend well and be a pass rusher as well. So those are the main goals.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, if you turn on the tape, if you watch this guy, do his thing. I mean, very effective against the pass and the run. So again, like I had already mentioned, we really wanted you, down at the Hula Bowl. Really was happy that you were able to showcase your talent there and also progress to another All-Star game where you can showcase your talent as well. As we close down this interview, Bud, I want to give you one last opportunity. I mean, again, like you said, I mean, you've sat down with almost every single NFL team there is, but I do want to give you the chance to maybe, give your pitch to maybe that one or two teams that have yet to speak with you. So give them your pitch as to why they need to draft you. So go ahead and hit them with that.
Yeah, I think I'm just a hardworking, super dependable guy. Just a great teammate. Use my intellectual ability to help me make plays on the field, and just able to not get bored with the process of getting better. Being able to do the little details, the little things day in and day out to improve on myself, and to do what it takes to become a great football player.
Awesome. Well, Ben, do wish you best of luck through this process. I mean, it's certainly, challenging at times, but I do wish you all the best moving forward. All right, bud?
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Once again, I have with me Ben Stille, defensive lineman out of Nebraska. Definitely check him out. And hope to hear your name called come draft day. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate it.